Welcome to the Saturday Night Live Afterparty. This week, we'll be discussing Season 47, Episode 3 of SNL with host Rami Malek and musical guest Young Thug. I'm Catherine Coleman, and I am joined this week by Steve Finn, as well as New York-based writer Madeline Baldanzi. You can connect with Madeline on Twitter at Madeline Baldanzi, and you can find us at snlpodcast.com. Enjoy these selected highlights from this week's discussion. And if you'd like to watch our full-length, ad-free sketch-by-sketch review, you can find it exclusively at patreon.com/SNL Podcast. It's our supporters who make this show possible, and we are so thankful to everyone who's already come on board. All right, here we go. Hello, everybody. How are you doing tonight?
All smiles over here. How are you guys?
Pretty good.
Great.
Excited to be here.
Yes,
Woo-hoo.
we are
Welcome,
thrilled
Madeline.
to have you, Madeline. We have so much to talk about tonight. A first-time host, a 007 cameo, a Squid Game parody. This episode just had so much going on, and we're fully ready to break it down. But first, I want to introduce Madeline to the audience. Welcome to the show. So glad to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
Yeah. So Madeline was actually my teacher at UCB. She taught me Sketch 101, Sketch 301, as well as this extra class I took called Sketch Sprint. So she taught me everything I know about sketch comedy, so I'm pretty redundant tonight. But I'm really excited to hear all of Madeline's brilliant thoughts on this episode. And it's going to be really fun. I'm very interested to see how our takes differ, considering, we have a similar basis of knowledge, right? But before we get into it, Madeline, why don't you just tell our audience a little bit about, maybe some of your favorite sketches or favorite eras of SNL and, how you feel about the show.
I've been watching SNL since I was 13, nonstop, seen every episode since then. And in my mind, I think of it in three different eras. The first one is kind of Amy Poehler-ish, Tina Fey. When I think about that, I just love Maya Rudolph so much. Wake Up Wakefield was my fave. And then I kind of think of a little bit middle ground. And to me, that's the Bill Hader era.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I love that puppet class sketch. That sketch is just so textbook and yet still so funny and surprising. And then the newer era, which almost feels like an old era now, I just think is completely typified by 80 and Kate. And anytime 80 and Kate get together, those are my faves. Dyke and Fats. I love that alien abduction sketch. Anything with those gals, that's my fave.
Yeah, you and I have that in common.
You had me at Dyke and Fats. Oh, man.
I feel like we watched that puppet sketch in one of your classes.
I don't think I liked that sketch as much when I saw it live as I did when I started teaching, because it's hard to find by-the-book sketches that are still very funny and surprising. And I think that sketch fulfills both of those things really well.
Yeah. Very interesting. Well, those are all great references. So now the audience knows your taste. They know what you're bringing. Let's get into it. Are y'all ready?
And I'm Daddy Longlegs.
Daddy's got it at this school assembly on bugs. And I loved this one. At first, when I realized this whole thing is going to be based on a pun, I got a little nervous. And I thought it would wear out its welcome pretty quickly. But then it didn't. They just found, for me, I thought they found such fun places to go with it. Like when he told the principal to call me daddy, but then he told Heidi, I don't want that from you. And then the credit card beat was great. I found it very consistently delightful, and it surprised me. And Bowen can sell anything. So I was having a great time. Madeline, was it a win for you?
It was a win for me. It was an awfully long walk to just letting Bowen be Bowen, I think. I don't know that they had to be children necessarily, but once we got the justification about the dads, I was fully bought into it being children. I think it just went a little bit too long without reminding me that part of the joke is that Bowen is a kid that is a little bit strange and very delightful. But really anything to just get to Bowen being Bowen was super fun. I really want to shout out whoever created that spider costume. The butt of it wiggling really made me laugh out loud. And also, what happened when the arm fell off? That was also
Yeah.
very funny.
Top right arm, rest in peace.
Yeah, that was funny, and that gave Keenan the giggles a little bit, which he
Yeah.
then held on to all night long, and I loved.
Apparently.
Steve, where'd you land on this?
I liked it. And yeah, maybe we could have focused more on the Bowen being Bowen, like Madeline was saying. But for what they did, I liked how they approached the other characters. It must be a challenge to get in there and write a sketch where one character's taking the main comedic focal point, and you have a lot of other straight characters playing off that. It helps to get a few laughs from making them a little dorky and not totally just like, I'm a normal person reacting to you, but having them another believable character in that world they've created that has, a comedic tinge to it. I think that helps with the ricocheting of the wackiness back and forth. But obviously Bowen is the star here, and I think he popped as he usually does. So I'm always gonna be game for a Bowen led sketch.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you might as well not ask me.
I am glad, Madeline, that you sort of mentioned this framing device of having them children, because the full idea, is what if Daddy Longlegs was a daddy? And there's a million directions you could go there, right? And never in a million years would I have sat down and been like, oh, kids' bug show. So it is a very interesting choice that ended up working.
Yep.
A kids' bug show is not a thing, right?
Not that I know of.
I'm sure at least one in the world has been done.
I mean, I used to be a teacher. We never did specifically a bug show, so.
I liked it though. It
worked.
I stopped remembering they were kids, but then they brought me back. You're exactly right, Steve, with the other weird children. So it really worked.
Yeah. All right. Well, big win on the bug sketch. Let's keep going. This couple just wants the perfect Sleepytown USA mattress to have their arguments on. Madeline, was this one a win?
I loved this sketch so much. I think maybe we'll disagree again, and I'm excited to hear about it. But I loved Sleepytown USA. I could have seen this on stage at an underground comedy theater in New York or Chicago. It felt very theatery to me. So it was a little familiar, maybe a little well-worn, almost in like, we're going to overact something. But the execution was so fun. And I thought the Sleepytown USA mattress setting made it just weird enough that I was really delighted by it. I liked Adi and Rami together. I thought whoever wrote this did an incredible job thinking about what Rami's strengths were and writing to Rami's strengths. I think he comes across as a little weird. And so him coming across as a little weird in this sketch was perfect. I also thought it was going to be about sex in that first beat, and then it wasn't. So that was a pleasant surprise for me. Bowen being the voice of reason character in a sketch was another great way for Bowen to show his versatility. I also was really surprised when the gun came out and then the second gun came out. I maybe shouldn't have been surprised about that, but I wasn't expecting it. So you saved me, but I'm so horny. He's dead in our bed from Sleepytown. Made me laugh out loud. I really, really enjoyed this one. It might be on the strength of A.D. Bryant, but I thought it was a real winner.
You've given me some more things to appreciate about it, in that, like you said, the writer did write to Rami's strengths. That's very smart. They performed the hell out of it. I love that Bowen he continually proves he's versatile, but gave us another thing to point to when people give us that argument that he plays the same character. It ended up for me in a really fun, different place than I expected. Like you said, when the guns came out and then he's dead, but I'm horny, fantastic. Loved it. With a lot of the stuff before that just felt really well worn. Like there's a Key and Peele sketch that's very similar. But like, I don't know, it's really hard to fault them on that because maybe I just watch too much sketch comedy. Like, and so like they found fun new places to go with it, but I was feeling a little like, I've sort of seen this before, right?
But if you're gonna base it on I've seen this before, then
Right.
none of the sketches win. They
That's
all
true.
lose.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
I get what you mean, though. It does feel like, oh, they're being big. Okay, yeah, sure, but
Mhm. Yeah, I think on many other nights, I think I would have unequivocally loved this. I think I would have quickly gotten over I've seen this before because I never played this role. I usually love I love or like everything, and I'm really nice and I'm very positive. And tonight, I don't know what. Maybe this is just how I was feeling last night. But yeah, you make a good point there. I think a lot of other times I would have forgiven it for like being a premise I was familiar with. But tonight, since I was feeling down, I was like, nope, I'm gonna hold that against you. And that
I ain't got
maybe
no
not
time for
fair
you.
of me, you know. That's fair. I'll take it. It did end in a great place. I did ultimately end up really liking it. So, Steve, where are you gonna land?
Here's something you might not know about me. I used to sell mattresses. I was a mattress salesman. So
I wish I would have asked you first.
I'm going into the sketch saying, all right, this ought to be good, you know. And I'll tell you something. One of the challenges of selling mattresses is getting someone comfortable enough to lie down on the bed. You know, they'll go around and like put their fists on it. It's like, is this soft? Is this hard? And you're like, do you sleep on your knuckles? Do you just like balance on one fist and you know hang out there like some Cirque du Soleil performer? No, you got to lie down. But that's the thing, right? You feel vulnerable doing that. It's like you're letting your guard down in public, and the only reason you're comfortable enough to lie down and go to sleep is because you're in the safety of your own home. And I feel like somebody tapped into that because like that glimpse into someone's personal life that could get so much worse. And like this is a reminder for anyone window or mattress shopping is like people knowing what position you sleep in ain't going to be nothing compared to like what really goes on in married people's bedrooms. And you get a glimpse of that into selling mattresses because you'll say like, hey, if you get a king mattress, you know, if you're getting a fight, you got more room to separate yourself with, and you see them like, that's a good idea. You're like, okay, so that appeals to you. That's you know, dinging some bells. Here's my point though, is that like the fact that they're testing the bed, how it truly will be used, like that is, I think, a hilarious joke. And as niche as that might be, I think they might have wrote this for mattress salesmen.
I love that insider baseball on this sketch, Steve. Thank you for bringing that.
Yeah, I do that at the least expected times.
Truly.
I do think I would be remiss if I didn't mention that you sleep 3/3 of your life was my favorite joke of the evening.
I missed that.
That was really fun.
I missed that. So like 100% of the time.
And then Bowen goes, that's not what I said. It was, mwah.
Yeah,
missed
that
that.
was great. I maybe like on Wednesday I'm gonna rewatch this sketch and I'm going to love it. I think I'm apparently in a mood and I didn't know it.
Just get all of your pets and like just make a puddle and just get in the happiest place you've ever been and then watch it. See how
Y'all have given me so much more to appreciate about it, and it is fun. So I want to give it another chance. I'm gonna give it a third watch. I'm gonna give it a few days to forget about it, and then I'm gonna watch it again, and I will post a little mini episode with my new take on it. If you want to see our full sketch by sketch review, search for SNL Afterparty on Patreon or subscribestar.com. Let's get into our overall thoughts and ratings. Moment of the night. Madeline, what was it?
I think the moment of the night was the first time Bowen broke out into the spider dance. in the first sketch, it was just exciting, a great way to start off the night. That was it for me.
Fair enough. I'm gonna give it to the Pete Rami switch up. So I mean, I realized we went to it a few times, but the first time when I realized that's what they were doing, because that's a big thing. I went into the episode wanting to see, and so to see how they were going to do it, and that they were definitely going to do it, they were going to play each other. That was just really fun. That was a good moment. Steve, what's yours?
Mine is Keenan taking a sharp point of a paper airplane to the temple, and you know, like Gilda Radner breaking a rib, just powered through it because that looked like it hurt. Can we just? Do you agree with me
It
that
came with some
looked a little
force.
hard,
Mhm.
a little direct? That he felt that, and I just knew. I knew that was Kristen again. I knew that was their way of going back to that impression. I don't know why. It's just, uh, it's part of that manic pixie girl energy that Melissa taps into. Just
Yeah.
goes
I
to
love
show.
that he immediately knew it was Kristen. Like that's such a fun thing for like the character that is Kristen Wiig.
Right? I love it.
Okay, well let's talk about our best sketch. Madeline, what was yours?
Sleepytown. I loved Sleepytown. I love A.D. Bryant. I liked the big acting. I liked that it used the host well. I liked that there were enough weird jokes for me to sell it. Oh, I loved Get Your Killing Gun. I didn't say that before. I liked that sketch a lot.
One more reason for me to give it a third watch. For me, far and away, the best sketch was Daddy Longlegs. That was just so delightfully fun. I thought that was the best showcase of Bowen of a night when he got used quite a bit. I thought that was the highlight. It just so many jokes. And I was surprised by it because, like I said, when it started, I was unsure, but then they fully sold me, and I loved it. That's my best. Steve, what's yours?
I'll give it to Angelo because I felt like it was a breakout for Aristotle Atari, and I genuinely laughed the hardest at this.
Yeah, it's always a good move, to give your best sketch to the one that had the featured player in it, because we do love to see it. It's like, in addition to being funny, it feels so heartwarming as a fan of the show, right? So you get it's exciting to see it no matter what it actually turns out to be. Let's talk about our MVP. Who's it going to, Madeline?
I think I have to give it to Bowen. I mean, it seems pretty clear to me. You could give it to Keenan, I think, but it's always Keenan. I think Bowen really deserves it tonight. He had a great big character. He had a really good George Takei impression, and he played that great voice of reason character. I'm giving it to Bowen.
Well, I'm gonna give it to Daniel Craig. No. I literally had written down Bowen, case could be made for Keenan. So exactly what Madeline just said. And you could also make a case for Aristotle. He had his big moment, and that's great to see. But yeah, Bowen was all over the place. And like I said, I loved the Daddy Longlegs sketch. No other person could have played that like Bowen did. And Bowen's always a win. Steve, who's your MVP?
Gonna give it to old Double A. I think he's made the triple A's with this. He's broken out now. This is it. And Catherine, Madeline, you guys talked about the ones who deserve that title for doing the heavy lifting. Obviously, Bowen was going for the Bowen Yang show, basically, and Keenan just has uh, that frequent presence he usually does because it's Keenan. We're used to that.
Keenan was everywhere. Keenan will
Yes.
be Keenan.
I want to give it to Aristotle because, it is his breakout performance, and I think that deserves recognition, even if it was only really the one thing he's shown in. The one thing we got to make sure of is that he can bring stuff to this show that he hasn't already worked on. This is a show that is ever churning and ever refreshing. If he needs more time than what the show will allow him to come up with new material, it might be an issue. So it remains to be seen what he can bring that's new, what he creates for the show. But
Yeah.
he deserves it just for showing his talent.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially, in this is the third episode and we really haven't seen much of him. So it was refreshing to for him to get that showcase and for him to perform it so well. It definitely gave me where I was feeling a little nervous for him, maybe a little prematurely, but this was a nice vote of confidence where I was like, oh, okay, like he is really good. He can perform this. He can hold his own in a sketch. That was great. Let's talk about the big one on a scale of classic, great, decent, weak, or train wreck. Madeline, how would you rate this episode?
I'm going to go decent. I want to say maybe a little bit better, but it's really just decent for me.
Fair enough. I'm going to agree. I'm going to put it at decent. There's once again the argument to be made. If I was maybe in a better mood, it could have been great. But I think even if I take away my hang up on Sleepytown and admit that I loved that sketch, I think there were still a few things at the top that weren't quite it for me. And then in Weekend Update as well. So yeah, I don't know. I think a decent is a very fair place to put it. Steve, where are you going to land?
We're going to release this episode in 3D because it is decent for me too. Across the board, I feel like this was pretty okay writing, pretty okay putting together of a show. The host could be less awkward. I feel like he wasn't bad. Like it wasn't like Adrian Brody bad, but there was definitely some, hey, I'm not used to this. This is not my normal job vibes going on. And yeah, that's charming to an extent. And then there are moments where it's a little bit awkward. Like, when you forget that you're supposed to go into a rap after you say you've got panache or whatever the line was,
Well, to be fair, that could have been his twin that wasn't at rehearsal.
Ah, yes.
I thought something went wrong there.
I think that maybe a line had been cut or something and he got confused.
Yeah. There was probably supposed to be something that
it
teed
seemed
him
like
up
Keenan
for it.
was supposed to have something, yeah.
Yeah. And then they were like, you're just going to go straight into it. And then he forgot that direction. Or maybe I'd say some of these things get missed, like in communication, I'd say, because it changes so much.
Yeah, it's bound to happen.
Yeah.
They do so much of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think decent is the way to go.
Fair enough. A decent episode with some high highs and some more middle of the road stuff, but it's definitely some winners in here. I'm so glad that we all enjoyed it. Madeline, I'm so glad that you were on the show. You were great.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so fun. I love talking about SNL.
It was great having you, Madeline.
Come back anytime. This was great. And where can people find you? What are you up to now?
I am on Twitter at Madeline Baldanzi, and I do a lot of writing that maybe one day people will see, but it's all slow to come out. But if you want to learn how to write a pilot or have a sample to give to agents or managers, you want to up your stakes in this Hollywood game, you can take my pilot class. I offer an 8-week pilot class, and you can check out my website, MadelineBaldanzi.com, if you want to learn how to write a story for me.
Yay. And I cannot recommend enough Madeline as a teacher. She is wonderful. She's great. If you think I've ever sounded like I know what I'm talking about, it's thanks to Madeline. So
you always sound like you know what you're talking about because you do know.
Because you taught me.
No.
All right. Well, I guess we're going to sign off without Steve. I don't know where he went. That is a wrap. Thanks to Steve Finn and Madeline Baldanzi. And thanks as well to our most generous patrons, Sam Bowers, Neil Weinstein, Justin Gardner, Grace Kogan, and Brian Clark. If you're enjoying our show, please subscribe on YouTube or wherever better podcasts can be found. Your subscription helps us grow, and your support is greatly appreciated. We'll be back in 1 week when SNL returns with host Jason Sudeikis and musical guest Brandi Carlile. But until then, this has been episode number 144 of the Saturday Night Live Afterparty podcast. I'm Katherine Coleman. That's my story. Now stick to it.